Hi, Lady Rose here from Goddess Garage. I'm here today because I wanted to show you a very special tarot spread. Now, I've had this deck for many, many years before I knew what I wanted to do with it. So it's a nice big deck. This is the book that comes with it. People always ask me what deck it is. It just says tarot. So I don't know what the deck is, but it is written by Bridget Reed, if that helps you at all. And the tarot card illustrations are by Colin Howard. Now, for the most part, this deck is pips, so I didn't really like reading it as a tarot deck. And I kind of put it away in the back of my closet and forgot about it. Now, I do like the major arcana cards in it. There's Justice. Let me see, what else do we have? There's a court card, the Page. So you do have some picture cards. The Hierophant, the Queen of Wands. There's the Queen of Wands. We've got the Hanging Man or the Hanged Man. And there's the Knight of Swords. So lots of great pictures, but when you come to the suits, they're just pip cards. Now, I'm not doing a review of this deck. I'm actually going to show you a particular reading, because when I learned this reading, and it's supposed to be a very, very old reading, a few hundred years ago or something it started, or maybe it was like the early 1800s, so I guess that's a couple of hundred years ago. Anyways, this is the back of the deck. That's what it looks like. So it's a very specialized kind of reading, because a lot of times I see on various conversations, chat rooms, boards, groups, things like that, people are asking about yes and no kind of questions, like, can you ask the tarot yes or no questions? Now, the traditional sort of answer is no, and really you shouldn't be asking the tarot, is kind of the sort of understood rule. Yes or no questions. You want open-ended questions because you want the cards to be able to kind of offer opportunities, offer options, that sort of thing, as opposed to a straight yes or no. However, you can do yes or no questions. Now, it really bothers me when I see a tarot reader who's using the same deck that is kind of their working deck. So the deck they use for all their tarot readings, sort of their go-to deck. It doesn't mean they don't switch that deck out, but definitely as a professional tarot reader, you tend to have a working deck, as we call it. And when you have a working deck like that, you don't necessarily want to ask it yes or no questions at the same time, like doing tarot readings and then also doing a yes or no question, because it confuses the tarot deck, because the tarot deck doesn't want yes or no questions, except for one exception. With the yes or no questions, if you want to do yes or no questions, it really should be, and I was taught this, I don't know, many years ago when I first started in tarot, but like I said, I'd collected and dabbled in tarot for many years, and this deck was at the back of my cupboard, and I kind of put it away because, I felt like I wasn't connecting with it. I wanted to use it because I love the bigness of these cards, but because they're very dramatic. But the pips threw me way off. I just didn't know how to read those. So when this reading was introduced to me, I now have a specialized deck that I just do yes and no questions with. And I can say with all honesty and with all, confidence that only yes or no questions are asked of this deck. This deck does nothing else, and it's never been known to be wrong. And I've done some yes or no questions myself on this deck, and I've always jokingly said, even if I don't like the answer, it's still right. It works out to be right. So as far as I know, it's never been wrong. And the reason it's so accurate is because all it does is yes or no questions. Because if you start using a tarot deck that you've done readings with, it confuses the deck as to yes or no questions when you ask them. So to do yes or no questions, to do true, authentic, accurate yes and no questions of tarot, you need to have a dedicated deck, and that's all it does. So you can pick a deck, any deck you want. It doesn't have to be this deck. It's just this is the one I use. And I even decorated up the box. and made it like it's keys, and I like skulls, and it's yes, no, maybe, that sort of thing. And all this deck does is yes or no questions. And then I have my working deck for my other readings, or sometimes I'll switch out that deck if it's getting tired and use another deck. And once I use a deck for reading, then I know it's never going to be a yes or no deck. But I've been using this one for probably 10 years now for just yes and no questions, maybe even more than that. So I'm going to show you how to do this spread. This spread is super easy. It doesn't require a lot of reading as far as reading the cards, because again, yes or no is a definite answer. It's just, it is what it is. There's not a lot of reading that happens, but there are certain exceptions, okay? So I'm going to try something new here. So hopefully you can still hear me, and I'm going to put the camera down so you can see what I'm doing. So bear with me. This is the first time I'm sort of doing this. Okay, so hopefully that's down enough that you can see I've got the deck. Now I've taken out the card, the Wheel of Fortune, and this is what I call the key card. So in the spread, you're going to be looking for this card as to whether your answer is yes or no. Okay, so I've never shared this spread with anybody on how to do it. So this is a big deck. So this is how I shuffle this deck, because my hands would never ever reach the whole thing. I can't even get it all on the camera. So I just shuffle it around like this. And what I usually do when someone comes in for a yes or no question, I'll put the deck right in front of them, and I'll ask them to just start talking with the deck in front of them. And I'll say, you know, like, what is your question? If they don't want to talk about it, I can ask, is there a particular subject that it's on? Because I don't even need to know the question. Sometimes I like to get them just to talk a little bit. And and even if they don't want to talk about what the question has to do, or what the question is, because maybe it's a personal question, that's totally cool. I don't mind that at all. Because again, I don't have to know the question. But I will kind of clarify for them, is your question a true yes or no question? Make sure that it is, and not yeah, well, if you did this, it's not a choice. So don't be thinking, well, should I take the job or should I not? That's not a yes or no question. You know, like, take the job or not take the job. Decide what your question is. Should I take this job? Is the yes or no question, not should I or shouldn't I. That's too open-ended for this particular deck. So like I said, clarify with your client that it actually is a yes or no question. Make sure they're not putting choices in there, because sometimes clients will do that. So sometimes you'll find out what the question is because you're just, not because you want to know or anything, because the cards do all the stuff about it. But also too, you know, normally I get them to hold the deck, but just because of COVID times, I usually just kind of place the deck in front of them. They can put their hands over it if they want, but just the energy of their talking about the question starts to put the question into the deck, so the deck knows what energy you are about, because that's how tarot kind of works. It works off the energy of you and your client. So then, okay, so let's say the client, we've confirmed that it's a yes or no question. I normally spread this out, and what I say is, with your left hand, pick out 7 cards. So they just pick out 7 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't actually have a question, but I just wanted to do that so that you could see how the reading's done. So with their left hand, I get them to pick out 7 cards. And then I take these cards, and off to the side, like I showed before, is this Wheel of Fortune. So I'll put it somewhere in the middle, just randomly. And what I'll start to do is I'll start to, you know, maybe there's a bit of a conversation, we're talking about it. I'll get them to mix up, or I'll be mixing up the cards like this. And then I'll do a little of this, right? Just mixing up the cards. It's like 3-card Monty. You know, you're just mixing the cards up. Now then, after I do that, I slide the cards over to my client, and I say, I want you to do exactly what I was doing. I want you to mix up the cards, move them around. If you got a big area, you know, move them all over the place and put them back, kind of thing. If you want to do a little of this, I do tell my clients, do it mindfully. because a lot of times clients will flip it over like that because they're clumsy. So be careful about doing that, because the idea is you're trying to lose the Wheel of Fortune into the mix, and it's supposed to show up randomly, and it's supposed to show up geared to your energy, right? So you just do a little of this, but again, you're very careful about it so cards aren't falling or flipping over and revealing what cards are where. So whenever the client's ready to do that, I say, okay, slide the cards back over to me. Some clients, it tells me a lot about a client if they actually bunch them up into a neat pile for me. That means they pay attention to details, and they might be a little anal about things. Other clients just slide it on over. So it means they're a little more go with the flow perhaps. But when I take the cards, I make sure that the client sees this part, the back part of the cards, and I'm not looking at the cards. I'm looking away from the cards, because again, I always tell my clients I don't want to influence the cards or show anything on my face because I don't have the best poker face. I don't want to show anything on my face as to, like, if I see the Wheel of Fortune on the bottom, let's say, or something. So then I'm going to show you the layout. So then I take the cards and I go 1 and 2 for another pile over here. You're going to end up with 4 piles. Another pile here. This is harder to do because it's not out far enough. Just going to push the camera out a little bit so that we can see what we're doing here. Bear with me. Thank you. Okay, so 4, okay? You're just taking the 8 cards. That's pile number 2. Remember I said there's 2 cards per pile. So there are 4 different piles, okay? So this is the top left corner here. Not sure if that's what it shows on the camera, but this is the top left corner. So when you kind of have a box going on, right? Doot, 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 okay? The top left corner, if the Wheel of Fortune is here, that means the answer is yes. It's a hard yes. You know, whatever you want will happen, or should I take the job? Yes, you should take the job, okay? The top right corner or pile here is probably. It's a probably. And what I usually say, what is a probably? Well, it is sort of a yes, but it's not going to happen in the way that you are planning or on the timeline that you're planning. There's going to be something sort of different, right? Because we all get these ideas in our head. Like, let's say we're asking, should I take the job? If it lands on probably, it means that, oh, you think you're going to have this new job in a couple of weeks, and it turns out it's 3 months down the road. So that's not the timeline that you're thinking. Yeah, perhaps they really liked you, but it's not the job that you applied for. They're offering you another job in a different department, so it's a different job than what you expected. So that's what probably is. It's like, yes, sort of, but it's not in the way that you think or in the timeline. One of the two, or maybe a combination of the two, okay? So that's a positive part, probably. This is a probably not. This is the left lower corner. So the left lower corner is probably not. So this is the only time that you would read the cards if the Wheel of Fortune ends up here, because that's what you're looking for, the Wheel of Fortune. If it's in this pile, it's probably not. But then you look at the cards and you see what is most prominent. So for instance, if you have a lot, and it's not a deep dark reading, it's not, you know, oh, well, this card means this and that card means that. No, you're just looking overall. You're looking for patterns. So what you want to notice is, are there a lot of major arcana cards? So the probably not, and if you look and you see a lot of major arcana cards, then it's probably you need to make some big changes in life to change that to a yes. So you can change a probably not to a yes, but if you see a lot of major arcana cards, it's sort of, there's going to be some big changes that need to happen on your end. If you see a lot of cups, for instance, maybe there's a relationship in that's too toxic for this kind of answer of yes. Or maybe you need to get your emotions under control. Your attitude might need an adjustment if a lot of cups show up. That in the and it's in the probably not. If you get Pentacles, a lot of pentacles through here, if that's sort of the, and it doesn't have to be all pentacles. It can be like, okay, there's one sword, there's one wand, and a couple of pentacles. So there's more pentacles than anything else. So that's what you're looking for when you're looking at the probably not, if they want to change it. So if there's, you know, more pentacles than any other suit or major arcanas, then it's money. Money's holding you back. You need to come up with more money. You need to save some money. Somehow money's involved. You know, maybe it's, you know, should I start a new business? Yes, but probably not right now, you know, so you can change the probably not. So we've done cups, we've done pentacles. So if it's wands in this particular spread, if there's a lot of wands, or you see mostly more wands than any other suit, then it means you need support. So you're not getting the support from your friends and family, and you need their support in order to change this to a yes. And you'll need to find that support somehow in order to continue into a yes. If there's a lot of swords, it means you need to, it's a little bit of an attitude adjustment as well sometimes, because it can talk to, you need to change your way of speaking. Like, and I don't mean like, you know, I speak with a Canadian accent, now I need to speak with a British accent. It's not that. It's that you need to sort of change what you're saying, both inside your inner monologue maybe is not conducive to what you want to do. So to change that, you need to change your inner monologue. You need to change what you're saying and who you're talking to and how you're talking to them. It can also be, because swords cover legal and educational elements, it could be you need more education. So you're going to need to go back for more training, some upgrading, maybe going back to school in order to change this to a yes. Or it could also be a legal thing, like you need to get the right certifications, you need to have the right paperwork in order to be able to do all of this. So to change that to a yes. So that's the only time that it would render you needing to read the cards. And again, it's not, you're not reading card by card, you're just looking to see what the overall sort of pattern is, like what's showing most, and that's what you need. If it's in the lower left corner, or sorry, this is the lower left corner, the lower right corner, and the Wheel of Fortune shows up there, that means it's a hard no. Very, very difficult to change it. Even if you read the cards and see what's there, even a small change, like let's say, okay, we've got mostly wands here, you're going to need more support. It's not the same as the support that the probably not would mean or need. This is, you're going to need a lot of support. Like things are really going to have to change, even if it's a minor arcana kind of thing. So this is usually a hard no, and it's not meant to be for you. And normally I find if I get a hard no, sometimes I've wanted to fight it and go, no, I can change this. And it turns out, no, it was meant to be that no, was the right answer. So, and again, because it's a dedicated deck. So then what you do with your client is I start here and I look for the cards. So I look for the Wheel of Fortune. It's not in the yes, it's in the probably this time. Okay, so say the client's question was, you know, should I take this new job? The answer is yes, probably, you'll get it, or will I get this new job? Probably. But it's not going to be in the way that you think or in the timeline that you think. Now, if the Wheel of Fortune showed up here, be like, it's a hard yes. We don't need to see the other cards, whatever kind of thing. It's a hard yes if it's up in the left upper corner. But it ended up in the probably, which is the top right corner. So that's a probably, like I said, not in the way or the timeline that you think, not in the time amount. Now, let's say it was here and probably not. So what I'm seeing, because we've got the King of Wands here, and we've got the 10 of Pentacles, we've got the Fool and the Death card and the Tower card, woo, and we've got the Empress and the Hierophant. So in this particular, if this showed up in the probably not, it would mean major life changes need to happen, because you've got mostly major arcana cards here. So we'd really have to look at what are some of the major changes that need to happen. Now, if it's here in the lower right corner, it's a hard no. And I do advise not arguing with it, because normally this, like I said, this deck has never been known to be wrong. So I hope you enjoyed that and you're able to add a new spread to your readings. And you can, I use this as an add-on spread. Hi. I use this, oh, hopefully it'll stay. Maybe not, maybe not. Here we go. There, okay. I use this as an add-on spread to a lot of my readings, because sometimes people will get a reading, and as you know, if you've done tarot readings, sometimes tarot can raise more questions than it answers. It is good about giving you options to look at. Now, if the client wants to clarify something and it is a yes-no kind of thing, I might suggest adding a yes-no reading on top of the reading, just to clarify a certain point. I wouldn't do it for every single point in a reading, because sometimes you're meant to explore different options. But if you get the right feeling and the client wants a hard yes or no and just find out what is the answer, you can do this yes or no spread. So I hope that helped add to your repertoire, and I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please give me a comment below, and please subscribe to my channel and hit that little bell so you know when I put up new videos for you. And I'll put the links below to how to follow me or support me if you would like to do that and continue getting some more of these lessons and tutorials that I love putting up for you guys. I hope you're having a great day. I thank you so much for being here. Take care. Bye.